drivers. And the wind in its sails. I'll be speaking to the chief executive of renewables giant SSE as the company upgrades its earnings outlook. Good morning, this is Ian King Live, an hour of business and economic news from the heart of the city. Well, it's news that's sure to send shockwaves throughout the IT sector. SoftBank's $66 billion sale of UK-based chip designer Arm to chip maker Nvidia has collapsed. Well, SoftBank announced it was terminating the deal earlier this morning and said Arm would now plan for an initial public offering instead. It follows tense antitrust scrutiny with regulators from the US, the UK and the EU all raising serious concerns about the deal's effects on competition in the global semiconductor industry. Arm's also changing its chief executive, with Rene Haas succeeding Simon Segars. Who are joining me now is Herman Hauser. He's the entrepreneur who co-founded Arm Holdings. Herman Hauser, very good morning to you. I mean, when we last spoke, when this deal was announced, and you were very critical of it, remind people why.
Well, I always thought that Arm was the Switzerland of the semiconductor industry. And it would be very unfair for one licensee to actually own Arm, because it would then be the one licensee that doesn't have to pay a license. So it's clearly anti-competitive.
And obviously, a lot of Nvidia's competitors, the likes of Qualcomm and people who use Arm's design, such as Microsoft, raised their objections as well. Do you think that's really what swung sentiment against this transaction?
Yes, I think a large part of the industry was against this for the very reason that I originally spun Arm out of Acorn, because I argued that people would not want to buy a microprocessor from a potential competitor. So that is the reason for why Arm exists in the first place, is to be neutral and independent and treat every licensee even-handedly.
It's astonishing that Nvidia thought that they could overcome that objection, isn't it, really?
Yes, it was always a puzzle to me how they could think that they would convince the FTC, the CMA in the UK, the Europeans and the Chinese, and they would have to get all four of them to agree to it. And in the end, they did not. Now,
SoftBank plans to float Arm as a separate company. Where should that listing be, in your opinion?
Well, ideally in London, of course. It's a British company and it should go on the British stock market. But whether London has the depth of market to create an IPO like an Arm IPO, or whether it would have to be a dual listing again between London and New York, and that is what Arm was before SoftBank bought it, remains to be seen.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you say it's a British company. I mean, a lot of the original intellectual property was derived in the UK, but most of its executives are now based in California.
Yes, because, of course, most of the important licensees like Apple and Qualcomm and Google and Tesla, the latest Tesla AI chip, they're all in Silicon Valley.
And obviously Simon Segars going today. Now, he was the CEO who's been at the helm. He was at the helm when Arm originally was sold to SoftBank back in 2016. Just how much of a loss will he be for the business?
Well, Arm is an outlier in many respects. And one of the outlier properties of Arm is that in its 30-year history, it's only had three CEOs. Robin Saxby, who I originally helped become the first CEO of Arm, who made Arm a $10 billion company from zero. Then Warren East from 10 billion to 20 billion, and then Simon Segars from 20 billion to 30 billion. So each of the three CEOs has contributed 10 billion, which must be a record.
Yes, it's been an astoundingly consistent and stable business from a management perspective, hasn't it?
Incredibly stable, and I hope that the original Acorn culture that we transferred to Arm had something to do with it.
And Herman, what are the wider implications, if any, for the UK tech sector here, do you think?
Well, it is the most important tech company in the UK, and arguably one of the most important ones in Europe, maybe together with the German software company SAP. So it is very, very important that ARM stays a European company.
All right, Herman Hauser, always a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you very much for staying up so late to speak to us as well. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
BP has posted its best profits in 8 years amid soaring oil and gas prices. The oil and gas major reported an underlying profit for 2021 on a replacement cost basis, which is the industry's favoured measure, of $12.8 billion. Well, that compared with a loss on the same basis last year of $5.7 billion. At a headline level, BP reported a profit of $7.6 billion compared with a loss of $20.3 billion in 2020 when the company had to write down the value of some of its fossil fuel assets. BP also announced that it was stepping up its carbon reduction plans. The company now aims to halve its operational emissions by 2030, having previously said it aims to cut them by between 30 to 35% by then. And it now aims to be net zero across all of its operations, production and sales by 2050 or sooner. Well, joining me now to talk about this is Bruce Duguid. He's head of stewardship for EOS at Federated Hermes, and he's lead engager with BP for the Climate Action 100 Plus group. Joins me now. Bruce, very good morning to you. I mean, obviously, the results themselves are no great surprise given what's been going on with oil and gas prices. But what have you made of the strategic update today?
Yeah, good morning, Ian. And on the back of strong results at BP, which were broadly in line with consensus expectations, we're really pleased to see that the company has responded to engagement and advanced its ambitions for its transition to the low carbon economy. In particular, it's now got a triple net zero ambition on its operations, on its energy produced, and now on all the energy that it sells in 2050. And it was previously only a 50% reduction. It's also really good to see that on their operating emissions, they've advanced their ambition to a 50% reduction by 2030, which is in line with the expectation of investors for a 1.5 degree outcome on climate change.
Bruce, put this into the broader industry context for me, if you would, please. I mean, how would you benchmark BP's progress on this front compared with some of the other oil majors?
Well, BP were the first oil and gas major to announce net zero goals on the products that it produces, including the emissions of oil and gas sold. And they're now the first oil and gas major to cover both the upstream and the downstream business. So in that sense, they are the leader. In terms of the targets on the journey to that, their transition pace is good. There are some that are transitioning even faster in terms of the reduction in energy intensity. But the operating emissions at 50% is also at the best end of the spectrum.
Now, they're looking to reduce their oil and gas output by the equivalent of 1 million barrels a day by 2030. I mean, the big question for investors is whether they can replace the earnings from that with earnings from renewables in that period. Is that a possibility, do you think? Is it achievable?
Absolutely achievable. It will be a different quality of earning in that the low carbon businesses they're investing in, things like offshore wind, solar, have generally lower returns but more predictable returns, so lower risk for the reward. That needs to be blended with the oil and gas business. And this is a careful transition for the company to plan. It's also important that they can demonstrate the synergies of keeping these different businesses under the one roof, but in providing their customers with the mix of molecules, electrons that they need to manage through this transition. That's an attractive proposition.
Very good point you make there. I mean, Shell in particular has come under pressure to hive off its renewables business from its fossil fuels business. BP says it hasn't had any demands from investors along those lines. But would that approach make sense, do you think?
So at the moment, they need to use the proceeds of oil and gas, and they have good years and less good years. Last year, a very good year. The year before, obviously, a much worse loss-making year. But use those returns to invest in the new business. And if BP is to have a long-term future, if it's going to be there providing as a major energy supplier in 2050 net zero emissions energy, it's going to need to transition into these new asset classes. And I think it's interesting that there's now more of a story around the molecule side, biofuels and hydrogen, to go with the wind and the solar. So it's a more balanced portfolio, and there'll be different options. And the transition is not easy to predict. So we need to see which of these will turn out to be the mega businesses of the future.
Now, Bruce, around a sixth of the profits that BP has reported today came courtesy of its shareholding in Rosneft, the Russian oil and gas giant. Any observations on that?
Well, they have this controversial shareholding, 21%. They have seats on the board. It does enable them to have influence over the company, both to improve its long-term ambitions and to also improve its operational efficiency. It was pleasing to see that at the end of last year, Rosneft made their own commitments to advance the transition, including a net zero commitment on their operations, and also better quality methane intensity targets and the end to routine flaring. So there's indicators that through this ownership, BP can have a positive impact. We need to see this continue over this decade, and for there to be more proof points that their ownership is acting in their own interests, which is to help the world to get to net zero, as well as help their own business to get to net zero.
All right, Bruce, we have to leave it there. Thank you for joining me today. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
One of the real-world costs of rising inflation has been a surge in the price of used cars. Now it seems more than us are investing in used electric vehicles to get ahead in the transition to net zero. Figures out today from the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders show that more than 40,000 second-hand electric vehicles were sold last year. That is an all-time record. Well, joining me now is Auto Trader's Chief Operating Officer, Catherine Fayes. Catherine, very good morning to you. Is this because people are consciously switching to EVs, or is it other factors as well?
Good morning. Well, we're definitely seeing huge consumer demand and interest in EVs on Auto Trader at record all-time highs. Demand's up threefold in the last year, and we're seeing now 1 in 5 new car considerers looking at an electric car. Whilst demand is very strong, it's also being fueled partly by the huge increase in choice that models. We've now got over 75 electric models available on our platforms. The manufacturers have also done a great job at promoting electric vehicles, partly driven by obviously those EU emission targets, but all of that has increased consumer awareness of electric vehicles and the driving experience of those cars. We've also seen demand fueled by fuel anxiety, which is not something we'd really seen until the last year or so. But with concerns over fuel pricing and fuel availability, we have seen fuel anxiety as a real issue, as well as range anxiety, which we've traditionally associated with electric vehicles. All of that engagement and awareness is definitely been positive for the market, but it's not yet converting to sales and transaction levels at quite the rate that we would expect.
That's very interesting, and I presume a lot of that may be to do with the lack of charging points in certain parts of the country.
Well, we see two big barriers for consumers adopting electric vehicles. One of them is, yes, range anxiety. We try to talk about charge confidence because actually we believe for most consumers, for the 60% of us that have access to off-road parking, then charging shouldn't really be an issue. Public infrastructure is improving, still a long way to go, but if you do have off-road parking, it should be an electric vehicle should be a viable option. The other big barrier we see is price. The average electric vehicle, the upfront cost is still about a third more than the average ICE, the petrol or diesel equivalent vehicle. And so for many consumers, it does put those electric vehicles just out of reach when it comes to affordability.
But that's an interesting point you raise. I mean, it used to be said that the value of a new car fell by 20% the moment you drove it off the dealer's forecourt. Do electric vehicles maintain their value better?
I mean, from a pricing perspective, these really are unprecedented times. We've seen pricing growth that we'd usually expect to happen in 5 years play out in just the last 6 months, with the average price of a used car now being up at about £18,000, up from £13,000 just a year ago. We've seen that pricing growth across different fuel types, about the 30% level year on year. That overall increase, though, is hiding big differences in supply and demand for different fuel types. So, as we've been talking about, electric vehicle demand has been huge, but supply has also been quite strong as well. Conversely, for diesel vehicles, supply has been down very significantly. Demand's been down significantly too, but supply has been down more than demand. So we've seen a similar 30% increase in pricing. We're not seeing any huge difference in the ability for electric used vehicles to retain their value. The big question for most consumers and the big challenge with used electric vehicles is battery degradation. And consumers are having to form a view on how batteries will perform over their life, which is something for most of us that when we're buying a used car, we would never have had to consider before.
All right, Catherine, we've got to leave it there. Good to see you again this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of the day's other business news stories for you now. And a big ramp up in investment has pushed the online grocery retailer Ocado deeper into the red. The company reported a full year pre-tax loss of £176.9 million. That was more than 3 times the loss of £52.3 million that it incurred during 2020. Well, Ocado said the loss reflected increased investment in its solutions business, particularly the increasing rollout of OSP, the end-to-end e-commerce fulfillment and logistics platform it's sold to grocers around the world, including Kroger in the US, Casino in France and Morrison's here in the UK. Well, overall, Ocado's sales rose by 7% to £2.5 billion. Europe's biggest tour operator said today that its summer bookings are steadily approaching pre-pandemic levels. TUI said that summer bookings were currently 72% of summer 2019 levels, with booking patterns overall remaining relatively stable despite Omicron. It said that following the removal of testing requirements in the UK, it had seen a step up in booking activity, with UK summer 22 bookings currently up 19% on summer 2019. Well, pre-tax losses during the final 3 months of 2021 came to €404.5 million. That was down from €806.9 million in the same period in 2020. And the house builder Bellway said today it expects to raise output by 10% this year thanks to its strong order book and land bank. The UK's 5th largest house builder by stock market value said that during the 6 months to the end of January, it completed 5,694 new homes, which was a record for the company. It said that it was confident of completing more than 11,100 homes during the current financial year, which ends in July, rising to around 12,000 homes in the year to July 2023. Well, more now on the news that Google is facing a €2.1 billion lawsuit filed by the Swedish comparison site PriceRunner. It follows a ruling by the European General Court, which said that Google had breached EU antitrust laws by manipulating search results in favour of their own comparison shopping services. Well, PriceRunner's chief executive has described the battle as a fight for consumers. Well, he is Mikael Lindahl, and he joins me now. Mikael, very good to see you this morning. Now, the European Commission originally ruled against Google on this matter in 2017. It was upheld by the European courts last year. Why haven't you been able to obtain restitution through those bodies?
Well, thank you for having me, and I must start with saying, well, that's great. I mean, I appreciate all the work that the European Commission has done so far, and it has taken also a long time for us to prepare. But you're asking why nothing has happened, and the answer is they started it, the EU Commission, but they have not finished it. So now we're suing to get compensation for the lost revenues that we would have had during these 14 years if Google would not have abused the market.
Now, there are quite specific compensation claims that you're making here. It's for profits lost in the UK since 2008 and profits lost in Sweden and Denmark since 2013. Why those dates and why those countries?
Yeah, so we don't have to go into details about the lawsuit, but it is a big sum, of course. I think it's the biggest, or it's by far the biggest lawsuit in court in Sweden, and it sounds big, but we have to remember that also in relation, this is 2 or 3 days of revenues for Google in their shopping service, and this is they're making that money because of this abuse. And also it's like you're stating, it's for 14 years for 3 big e-commerce markets. And also the money, it will become even more, because from yesterday when the lawsuit was filed, there's an 8% yearly interest rate running. We were active in more countries than just those 3 markets back 14 years ago. And also the abuse is still ongoing. So it will definitely become more than 2.1 billion euros.
Mikhail, you've just highlighted the extent of Google's revenues. I mean, this is a bit of a David v. Goliath fight here. How are you going to be able to fund this legal action?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, how do you run a David against Goliath battle? Well, you have to, first of all, you have to be well prepared. We've spent a lot of time and effort on this, and as you said, the first verdict from the European Commission came already in 2017. So we're well prepared. We have the best lawyers in multiple countries in Europe. We have the best legal experts and damage calculation experts in Europe. But then also we're really well financed. And we have a litigation fund making sure that we can spend tens of millions of euros on this fight for many, many years. So we're ready to take on this battle.
And is there a broader issue at stake here, Mikhail, which is namely the future of European tech against some of these big Silicon Valley giants?
I mean, you were asking earlier, why do this now, and what has taken time, etc. And it's we have to do this now because there's too much at stake. I mean, there's of course some compensation for us, but the bigger problem here is that the European Commission cannot stop these big American tech giants, because what's happening is that right now it's about product comparison, price comparison of products, but tomorrow it will be about flights or insurances or whatever other market. And the tech, we have to allow the European tech industry to thrive without these enormous monopoly-like players abusing their market position. And then also we have the fact that consumers are overpaying every day that Google is abusing their position in this way.
All right, Mikhail, we have to leave it there. Good to talk to you again. Thanks very much indeed for joining me today.
Thank you.
Well, still to come here on Ian King Live. We'll be having a look at how global markets are doing this Tuesday morning. Stay with us.
They have breached the road. There is a lot of gas being fired all around us. शांति से इनको समझाओ वरना ये हम लोग It is an absolute carnival kind of atmosphere out here for Prime Minister Modi's decisive victory. These students are defying the prohibitory orders and now they're going to be arrested. We aim to be the best and most trusted place for news. The roads have been inundated. The only way out is to get people by boat. What is feared that over 200 people might have died because of these landslides. This on any given day would have been bustling with people, but today it's absolutely deserted. This is one of the most sensitive areas of Northeast Delhi where there's been clashes. I'm Neville Lazarus and I'm Sky's reporter based in Delhi.
Well, stocks in the Asia-Pacific region had a mixed session overnight, with the Hang Seng in Hong Kong falling by more than 1%, while stocks in Tokyo, Shanghai and Sydney enjoyed modest gains. Well, in Europe, markets have traded largely to the upside since the opening a couple of hours ago. That is on the back of some very strong results from corporates across continental Europe. Here's the current picture. All the main indices in positive territory, led by the IBEX in Madrid, up 1.33% there. Talking points include Securitas. Shares of the world's second biggest security services firm are ahead by 2% in Stockholm. That's after its results this morning. Well, here in London, the FTSE 100 is also firmly in positive territory, up 0.2%, helped by some big gains for the mining heavyweights. Aluminium prices have hit a 4-month high this morning. Glencore, Rio Tinto and Anglo American, three of the big FTSE mining companies. There you are, you can see them on the screen. They're all up by 2.5% or more. They've added some 18 points to the index on their own, those three companies. The leading faller in percentage terms this morning is Ocado. The shares are off nearly 12% right now on its results. The Irish conglomerate DCC, not a company we talk about a great deal on this programme. We'd like to hear from them if any of them are watching. Well, they put out a trading update this morning. Their shares are off some 2.5% on that news this morning. Outside the FTSE, the house builder Vistry, its shares are up by some 2.75% on the update from its rival Bellway, which is ahead by 2.5%. Elsewhere, the cruise operator Carnival is up by some 2.5%, following the comments today from TUI. TUI itself, by the way, you can see there, it's off some 6%. I think there's a bit of profit-taking going on there, probably. On the foreign exchange market, let me show you what's happening there. The euro has sold off this morning on comments overnight from Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank. Accordingly, the pound is ahead by 1/3% right now against the single currency. Sterling more or less unchanged right now against the US dollar. As for the oil price, well, that's continued to come off the boil ahead of talks later today between the US and Iran that could revive a nuclear deal that might see sanctions on Iranian crude lifted. A barrel of Brent crude will currently cost you $91.64 a barrel. That is up just over 1%. Well, joining me now is James Hughes. He's the Chief Markets Analyst at Scope Markets. James, morning to you. Obviously, the US earnings season is in full flow, and we're now starting to get results from across Europe. Anything that's caught your eye this morning?
Yeah, well, of course, it's been quite an interesting earnings season because we've had some of these big stocks in the US, the big tech stocks, the likes of Facebook, Netflix really disappoint. Google not do so bad. That advertising revenue coming back, and now Europe's starting to see that it's their turn basically. And obviously BP is one of the big ones that we're seeing today. Obviously TUI that you've already spoke about as well. But the BP story is an interesting one because of course we've seen those $9 billion worth of profit, which of course is always going to be a key focus, especially when the cost of living is such a big talking point here in the UK. So the tax story is going to be big from that point of view. But I think there's just a general feeling that we're seeing some fairly decent numbers when actually there was a bit of a fear because we just don't know how much these companies are going to be affected. And actually, when we've looked at earnings seasons through 2021 and 2020, yes, we saw a downturn from the pandemic for a lot of companies, but a lot of other companies, actually, the sell-off wasn't as big, or not necessarily the stock sell-off, but the actual earnings downgrade wasn't as big as first expected. So now things are a little bit better. We expect these numbers to remain positive and actually jump that little bit more. And what's interesting is that the sell-off or the earnings sell-off wasn't as big during the pandemic, but actually the jump, now things are normalizing, if you like, still isn't as big as expected. So it's a bit of a mixed picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point you make there on BP and these calls for a windfall tax from Labour and the Lib Dems. I mean, it's kind of missing the point. I mean, BP does not have masses of profit coming out of the North Sea anymore. I mean, this is a global business. Yeah,
absolutely. And what the big part, obviously, when we see the headlines, there's always going to be one shout, and that comes from a political side as well. But of course, one of the major sides to BP, and has been for quite a long time, is their move into renewable energy. We know they've been working as the big
PR Interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
BP, and that's one of their major drives. We've seen billions of dollars already invested into those areas for BP, and not just BP, also the big oil and gas companies in the US and
Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK-based online e-commerce store the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food. Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
To send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The whole of darkness.
So what did that
myself and the world will adjust. And 2019,
forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
body is your man. Bekutu, show them you got the coco set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. We don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you're listening to Starr Radio Show.
The best radio show.
You love me is a spiritual love affair. Now I just need you to clap your hands like that. Is a spiritual love affair. Everybody say.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London.
I can see your Bible, just get your groove on.
Today is the 8th day of February in the year 2021. Oh, 2022, my apologies. I was watching something and then yes, let me take it again. Today is the 8th day of the second month of the year 2022. With the time now 10:39 from the House of London.
Derek, you ready? Yeah. Over the mountain.
And I want to welcome you all to today's morning show.
And I will open up my heart.
I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
I will always sing.
Okay, my producer is chastising me here. So we are in the second month. How do you say that? You are saying 2021. Yeah, to err is human, to forgive divine, isn't it? Ha ha ha. All right then, so welcome once again to the program. But let me say good morning to my colleagues, Mr. Frank Davis, Mr. Olayomi, Kojo D, Felix all the way in Aberdeen, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy here as well. Massive good morning to you, sirs. And a special good morning goes to BB Clement. Yeah, she'll be joining us during the course of the program this afternoon, exactly at 12 o'clock. Well, she's got some good news pertaining to this afternoon's program.
And I will daily lift my hands. I will always sing of when your love keeps down. I could sing of your love forever. I could sing of your love. I could sing of your love forever. I sing it every morning. I could sing of your every love time forever. Every midnight hour. I could sing of your love forever. Here we go now. Whoa, whoa, I feel like dancing now. It's foolishness, I know. Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And when the world has seen the light, they will dance with joy like a dancing now. I can sing of your love, yeah. I sing it every day.
Well, I can sing of the love of God forever. Yeah, you look around us, look at everything that goes on, then for sure you know that it is the mercies of God that continues to keep and sustain us. Whatever you believe in, yes. But I believe that God has been able to keep us all. And so I'm so grateful to God. But regards to all our listeners, those of you in the US, those of you in Europe, those of you in Asia, those of you in Australia, and those of you on the African continent as well. Is there any other continent that I've not acknowledged? Well. To my lovely listeners in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Burkina Faso. I've got some listeners from Burkina Faso. And I say massive. Bonjour. Comment ça va? And I'm saying good morning to our South African listeners, those of you in Uganda as well, and wherever you are across the globe, to Tosino all the way in Moscow. Tosino, I hope you are doing very well as well. Massive good morning to you. So also playing in the background something from Akase Brimpong, singing of the love of God forever. And let me say good morning also to Mr. Isaac Makiva in Chicago, Illinois. I salute you. I hope you are doing very, very well. Okay. Now, some of you who have tuned in this time, the first time to listen to us on a Tuesday morning show, this is how the program will go. We'll bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast. We're going to follow suit, then the travel updates. We'll move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. And then exactly at 11 o'clock, we'll be bringing you Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who will be bringing us updates from Nigeria. Then after that, we'll continue with the conversation, looking at the stories making the rounds here in the UK and other parts of the world as well. And then at 12 o'clock exactly, we're going to be having BB Clement joining in to bring you some updates from what is going to be happening today on the BB Means Business show. And I can tell you that we're going to be having a Nigerian British born mega musician, producer, name it, by name Sam Henshaw. So she's going to be throwing more light on how the program is going to be. So I beg you, by the mercies of God, not to go away at all. Continue to stay tuned and listen to us on those issues as well. Then after that, I'll be opening the lines for you to add your voice to the discussions. We'll move on from there to have a look at some of the rest of the stories making the rounds across the globe. Then at 1 o'clock exactly, we'll bring the curtains down for the end of the program for today. But remember, 1:30 this afternoon, Sam Henshaw is going to be the guest of BB Clement on BB Means Business. Okay. Now, the quote for the day said, do not wait for opportunity to come before you start preparing. It is usually too late to do so. So prepare before the opportunity comes. Get all the information that you need, and then when the opportunity comes, you can grab it with both hands. That is by way of the quote for the day. 10:44 the time. Moving on straight to the weather front to tell you what the weather is like here in the London and the southeast of England. What do you think? How is your weather? Share with us wherever you are. Now, this afternoon will be dry throughout. Now, cloud cover will be variable with plenty of sunny spells at times. A fairly breezy day expected as well. And tonight we will continue dry. There will be plenty of clear spells, but also variable amounts of cloud. It will continue mild and fairly breezy. Top temperature is going to be 13 degrees. The lowest is going to be 9 degrees. UV level is going to be low. Pollution is going to be low. Sunset 17:02 and sunrise for tomorrow morning 07:28 hours. It is Starr Radio UK.
And when the world has seen the light, they will dance and shine like a dancing now. I can sing of your love, yeah. I sing it.
Starr Radio UK. Okay, let's move on straight to the travel updates. That'll be after this commercial break. So stay tuned, don't you go away.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads. I'll keep you navigated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio Travel Update that comes to you every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:47. Let's hit the roads. Well, on the underground, once again, this rail line has got minor delays between Tenham Green and Ealing Broadway due to an earlier customer incident. Good service on the rest of the line. And as you know, Northern Line is partly closed until mid-May, so check before you leave. On the Piccadilly line as well, minor delays between Hammersmith and Cockfosters eastbound only due to an earlier customer incident. Good service on the rest of the line. But keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads. I will keep you navigated, I promise, our bond. The London Overground has got a reduced service. Changes to Stratford to Richmond Clapham Junction trains. Times from Monday to the 7th to Thursday, the 10th of February. So please check before you leave. Times have changed. The traveling times have changed on that. That is Stratford to Richmond. Okay, until Thursday. But keep your eyes on the roads. Keep your eyes on the roads. I'll keep you navigated. I promise I'm on. TFL Rail, DLR, London Tramlane. Good service there. Now moving on straight to the river bar this morning as well. On the river bars, apart from the Woolwich Ferry that is shut. Oh yes, all the other river bars services are in good service. Now moving on to the National Rail this morning. On the National Rail, cross country has got special service first haul trains, Great Northern, Great Western Railway, London North Eastern Railway, special service there as well. Also, Northern Rail, ScotRail, South Western Railway, Southern, and Thameslink special service. That aside, all the others have got good service. Now continue to keep your eyes on the roads as we keep you navigated. I promise our bond. Now moving on to the final segment of the travel updates. That's the A roads. Yes, A316 has got closures, A4 closures, A40 closures, A41 closures, Central London red routes closures there as well. A20 serious delays. And you know I will say it all the time. Well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the road.
Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK-based online e-commerce store, the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food, Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
You love me is a spiritual love affair. Now I just need you to clap your hands.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Everybody say.
Okay, welcome back to the program. It's now gone 9 minutes to the top of the hour, and it's time for Global Trotting. So wherever you are, stay glued to your sets. If you're having you have a hot or cold weather, depending on which weather you find yourself in, or climate that you find yourself in, get yourself the appropriate drink and try to either heat yourself or warm yourself out or chill out or cool yourself down as well. But well, it is time for us to go global trotting. It gets bumpy at times, but hey, be rest assured of one thing for sure: arrival at your destination in peace, not pieces. Okay, so when it comes to the stories making the rounds, straight on from Nigeria, Buhari won't sign electoral bill if amended for selfish interests. Malami is saying the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, has hinted that the President, Major General Buhari, retired, may withhold assent from the Electoral Act. Yeah, we're going to be bringing you more on that. Buhari's regime's debt puts Nigeria financial standing at risk. That's what the IMF is saying. And then justice delayed is justice denied for Sunday Igboho. Over 6 months without trial in Benin Republic is unlawful and against Article 31 of the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees. He won his case against Nigeria's federal government. We demand his unconditional release. This and a lot more we're going to be looking at when we come to updates from Nigeria exactly at 11 o'clock.
I'm happy to be in your team.
But share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Now let's move on straight to
I could sing of your love. I could sing of your love. I could sing of your love.
the Prime Minister will not say sorry after Starmer protest. And number 10 source say Boris Johnson got other staff to get on with despite demands from his own MPs. Now, if you watch the incident that unfolded in front of the Defense Ministry on the way to Parliament, where the Labour leader was moving from, and the protesters who I don't want to say attacked him or confronted him that way, and everything that is going on. Do you see a picture or an image or a reflection of something that happened about a year ago in the US? Well, that seems to be the story. Once again, well, somebody said Donald Trump said that Boris Johnson is the British Donald Trump, and it seems to be what is going on. Wow, is it what he said that is inciting people to behave that way? I know that lots of excuses have been given. However, I beg to differ. I'm not sure what is going on there. If apologies will do it, then he has to go on to do it, because that statement that he made in Parliament pertaining to the failures of the State prosecutors to prosecute Jimmy Savile was one beneath the belt, but we know that the politicians normally do stuff. But if he's raising ugly heads and has caused him to lose one of his, close supporters or trustees, then it's about time that he does apologize. But he's not. Okay, breaking news coming through as well. Bamba Gascoigne, the original host of TV quiz show University Challenge, has died age 87. I would say may he so rest in perfect peace. Now, calls for windfall tax grow as BP profits surge. The energy giant is benefiting from the higher oil and gas prices, which have pushed up bills for households. So where is the fairness? Where is the fairness? It doesn't make sense, does it?
I feel like dancing now.
Blood pressure warning over paracetamol use. Oh my goodness. Prescribing painkiller for chronic pain could have risk as well as benefits, UK study is saying. So those of us who like taking paracetamol, my head is aching, paracetamol, my leg is aching, paracetamol, my back is aching, paracetamol. Yeah. Well, somebody said that all medicines have got side effects. Okay, I'm moving on straight to other parts of the world as well. Trudeau has demanded an end to Canada trucker protests. The Prime Minister says Canadians are shocked and disgusted by the behavior of some of the protesters in Ottawa. There is a crucial day ahead in Ukraine crisis, says Macron. Crucial days. Now, Russia Vladimir Putin indicates some progress was made during talks with the French leader. An Australian parliament apologizes to rape accuser Brittany Higgins, said she was attacked in Parliament House in 2019 in the case that sparked an outcry. And China is encroaching along Nepal border. Nepalese government reports said China accuses China of interference in the country's territory. Well, is Nepal part of China as well? Well, everybody's grabbing. Extend my territory, oh God, and they all extending their territories. Yes, Starr Radio UK. Israel police probed over hacking claims. And Benel leaves hospital after major crash. The cyclist continues to recover from multiple operations after higher speed crash in Colombia. Well, Jamaica's bobsleigh team beats to make history once again. Crew member Ashley Watson says the team is aiming for its highest ever placing at the Winter Olympics. That is the sunniest play on earth, but they are going for bobsleigh. Okay. Mauritius sends team to UK on disputed islands. Well, we have the islands that belongs to Mauritius, and so the UK are here, and they say, well, that's part of ours. No, we're not going to be relinquishing that to you. Now, spate of coups don't mean end of democracy in Africa. Two experts argue that democracy is still the way forward for the continent despite some setbacks. Really? You think that that's... the majority of people are being impoverished, being pushed down, and you think that that is all right? Well, it is Starr Radio UK. Just bear with me. Yeah, we're going to be taking a break pretty soon, and then the image will start moving. Don't you worry at all. Nigeria Super Cup may be extradited to the US. Al-Bakari is wanted in the US over alleged links to Instagram influencer and fraudster Hush Puppy. Is he going or is not going? Okay, and Senegal team gets hero welcome after cup victory. It's one of the stories making the rounds there. And South Africa has jailed twins for terrorism over US embassy plot. sticking for the crisis-ridden Ghanaian economy, John Mahama says, and therefore calling on the ruling government party to engage. There is no dispute that Ghanaian economy is in deep crisis, a crisis marked by huge budget deficits and unsustainable public debt, rising inflation and rapidly depreciating currency, ever-rising cost of living and loss of confidence by both domestic and international investor communities. Well, the only way forward is getting everybody on deck. All road contractors will be paid if e-levy is passed. I think the e-levy, as I said the other time, has become the panacea to all Ghana's problems. Financial problems, of course. Do you think that is the way forward? It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, this is a lot more we're going to be looking at. Swallow what is left of your pride and let's dialogue to fix economy. Mahamudu Akufo-Addo. Okay. Let's take this song, and then once we come back, we continue with the conversation. I'll be having Mr. Olayomi joining in a moment. This is Tegbe. Enjoy this.
Everybody clap your hands.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr.
On your smartphone.
We are a UK-based online e-commerce store, the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food, Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And we have got Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who has joined us this morning. But he's not putting on his glasses though. I don't know where his glasses is. Yes, so he's going to get his glasses. I know that he will need the glasses. You know, yes, we need assistance. But once again, welcome. Yes, some of the stories that we're going to be looking at is terrorists currently attacking travelers along the Zungeru Kantogora Road in Niger State. And then Abuja police harass journalists during Ramon Adedoyin's trial as Hilton Hotel owner appears in a neck brace. Oh my goodness, in a neck brace. How dangerous is it? Is it dangerous than any of these terrorists that are rampaging Nigeria at the moment? Well, this and a lot more we're going to be looking at. But let me say massive good morning to you, Yummy.
It is a very good morning to you, to all our listeners from around the globe. We welcome you once again. I say good morning to you, Archie. Good morning to you, Frank. Good morning to all our viewers as well. We welcome you once again to Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, sir. So how are you doing, sir?
Well, a little bit tired. I think I woke up too early, went back again. But as usual, like you say, when we are live, we got to be grateful because there's quite a lot of things happening from different parts of the globe. But the only thing we can say is let us continue, to give glory to the Creator for making sure that we are still alive, to continue to share our stories and bring the best of what is happening around the globe. And also some of the injustice that is being patted on individuals, groups of people, ethnic groups from different parts of the globe, and likewise from Nigeria as well, where more Nigerians keep asking, why should we be poor when a country that has the 6th largest crude oil producer in the world, but yet an average Nigerian cannot have a 3 square meal? And sometimes injustice of cases like the Adedoyin, we're going to be discussing that a little bit further again this morning, seems to be some of those socialites, some of those airlites that have the connection they would to be, will probably get away with crime committed, and then injustice becomes something that we have to continue to discuss. So that's part of what we're going to be discussing, but I come back again slightly to you in the studio. We welcome those that have joined us on other transition, those other platforms that we are transmitting as well. And we say a very good morning. This is Star Radio UK. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And this is where it goes from exactly 11 a.m. Monday to Friday with myself, Archie, Frank, and the rest of the team to bring you the best of the global news. But this time around, it's all about everything Nigeria. I'm going to give us the countdown later, but I'll come back again to you in the studio.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you in our North London studios, where he's bringing you updates from Nigeria. Now, interestingly, he said he's going to bring you the countdown to the next election. However, Buhari won't sign the electoral bill if amended for selfish interest. That's what Malami is saying. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, has hinted that the President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, may withhold assent from the Electoral Act. Now, can you give us a bit of a background to that and more details about that story, sir?
Yes, we're going to do so. Let's first and foremost say that as the election is getting closer, the pressure on the presidency and also this government, to do the needful in terms of making sure that Nigerians have the understanding that when it comes to the Electoral Act, probably maybe is something that will favor. But a lot of Nigerians also believe that maybe this president might not be able to sign that before the tenure as well. But as I say already earlier on, we are just about 367 days before the next election, which is also a lot of conversation for those that have been following, the proceeding and what is going to happen in 2023. So in almost 367 days, whether election we hold or not, regardless of those, that believe that election will solve the problem in Nigeria, but I'm going to go into a little bit details of that particular conversation where it looks like maybe there might not be signing of the electoral bill. Malami is the Attorney General of the Federation, current in Nigeria as we speak, and he was speaking definitely yesterday on one of the mainstream media back in Nigeria. The Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN, which is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, has hinted that the President Muhammadu Buhari may withhold the assent to the electoral bill. According to the minister, the bill which the National Assembly have already transmitted to the presidency the second time on Monday last week just got to him on Monday for legal advice. Malami made that known, like I said, while he was appearing on one of the mainstream media back in Nigeria last night. Buhari had withheld assent to the first version of the bill last year after consulting Malami and the Independent National Electoral Commission, also known as INEC. When asked if he was satisfied with the amendment made to the bill by the National Assembly after Buhari sent it back to the Parliament, Malami said, in terms of satisfaction, honestly, it is premature for me to conclude, taking into consideration that I can admit to you that the electoral bill was only received, that was yesterday afternoon. But one thing a lot of Nigerians would like to know is, would the president sign this electoral bill or not, is the question on the minds of millions of Nigerians that still believe in Nigeria, because more Nigerians are also saying we don't want to be part of Nigeria, and that is something that is already on the kind of a conclusion with some section of the country that believes whether they want the Yoruba nation, the Biafra nation, or people like the Omoyele Sowore that believe is a revolution that would eventually, kill that, country and divide it to what we want. But again, National Assembly transmit a reworked electoral bill to Buhari, but it doesn't seem Buhari might sign that. But we will continue to monitor that and bring that back to those that are watching us and listening to us from every part of the world. The statement titled "Transmission of the Electoral Bill 2022," the clerk to the National Assembly, Mr. Olatunde Amos Ojo, has transmitted the authenticate copies of the Electoral Bill 2022 to President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, but on the 31st. But we're waiting to see what is going to happen. This was in accordance with the provision of the 1999 Constitution. Already, there's a lot of debate on that same Military Decree 24, which is known as the one of the most fraudulent constitution in the world. Also, to see whether Mr. President had withheld assent to the electoral bill transmitted to him last year in November 2021. The electoral bill was thereafter reworked at the National Assembly, both on the Senate floor and the House of Representatives. They've passed it on the 25th of July, but whether Buhari will sign it or not is something that we have to wait and see. Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'll come back again to you in the studio.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi queue for you. But Yomi, now why won't he assent to it? Because after all, it's not like he's going to go for a third term. So he's finished with his tenure. So if he's going, someone is going to take over. And then, so why do you think that he doesn't want to assent to that?
Well, I believe for so many reasons. I mean, when this is a man that believes in his own ways of doing things. First and foremost, he came on the backing of not just himself. Remember, it contested about 3 times. He couldn't get in until there was a merger between, some other political, parties, to enable him to reach where he is at the moment. But now that he's got less than 13 months to leave the office, he's also trying to put the ring that everybody should just go out there and try to speak to the people rather than using, the cunning ways of how to do things. So again, he must have his own reason. And like I said, there's quite a lot of internal situation in Aso Rock that you might probably not find out, the full details. But again, I'm not sure whether this will be signed before this government elapses, in the next, 13 months. So we're just about, again, 367 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and the seconds countdown before election of the country, Nigeria, in 2023.
That means that the election is going to take place on what? The 10th of February next year, is
somewhere
that
around there. That's
yeah. I just checked it.
At all, because quite a lot of pressure is on the table, especially when people that are campaigning and demanding a referendum to opt out of Nigeria. There will be legal cases among some of the court case company, for the state election, Sean Ekiti. And likewise, remember that the Biafrans would, as much as they won the referendum as well, would not go into an election whether Nnamdi Kanu is released or not, from the information that we are getting. And that same goes with the Yoruba as well. So there's a lot of pressure in the country, but it's still a countdown, and Starr Radio UK will monitor all that, till then.
Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK updates from Nigeria, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. And let me say good morning to Amayo Ajeregene. I hope you are doing very, very well as well. Thank you very much for joining us. And as many of you who are listening to us, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well. Okay, let's move on to some of the other stories making the round. Buhari's regime holds emergency meeting as aviation workers threaten to shut down airspace. So, should we be worried if we are supposed to be traveling to Nigeria in the next few days?
Well, yes, I would be worried, especially with the current situation that it's happening. If there should be a kind of a strike, it's not the first time that we've seen some of these situation happening. We've seen ASU saying that they will be going on indefinite strike anytime soon because the government have not been able, to set up, what they demand. Even on the outline I've got here, we are set for indefinite strike as federal government is dribbling us, according to ASU. So I'm going to come back to the aviation, but let's talk about the ASU as well, because this affects millions of Nigerians that are currently studying, as we speak today. So that means an average Nigerian will not probably be able to finish a program or his program at the university due to the fact that, ASU will be going on what we call indefinite strike. The Academic Staff Union of University has said its members in the university across the country will embark on another strike if the federal government fails to implement the memorandum of action it signed with the union last year. According to the chairman of ASU in Ladoke Akintola University Technology Ogbomoso, Dr. Abiodun Olaniran, and the secretary, Dr. Toyin, who said this in a statement issued after the Congress held their union on Monday this week, stressed that the failure of the government to fully implement the agreement was very, very worrisome. You probably want to be asking why a government, would not want a kind of deal to conclude, that most of these, yes, the government is also making some demands that will probably not work, but we'd have to see and wait what that is going to happen. Now, let's come on this emergency meeting that is currently being held by the federal government, representative, to make sure that the question you ask is, should I be traveling to Nigeria or anybody outside the country be coming back home? Are you be guaranteed that you'll be able to arrive into the country without any injury as well? So this is probably why the government is doing everything as quickly as possible to make sure that this does not happen. But like I said, again, it's always got to do with lack of the willingness of this government, to do the needful, make sure that people are given the right tools. The National Union of Air Transport Employees and the Association of Nigeria Aviation Professionals are threatened to withdraw their services, as of today. According to the President, Muhammadu Buhari regime has begun moves to avert a nationwide strike by the aviation. It's not just going to be affecting one particular airport. It's going to be going across almost all the airports. The major airport is Lagos International Airport, and likewise the Abuja. We have the Kano, we have Port Harcourt. These are very, very key airports that brings in more Nigerians back home from every part of the globe. Even though Nigeria doesn't have an airline anymore, but more Nigerians still travel using some of these other representatives out of the other country back into Nigeria. So we're going to monitor that and then be able to give more update. But as the headline says, it seems there might be what we call a nationwide strike by the aviation worker. The Labour Minister, Chris Ngige, remember, he said more doctors that are leaving Nigeria will probably bring more forex back into the country. We had a meeting with the officials of the Ministry of Aviation and Aviation Workers in Abuja yesterday. The union, the association are threatening to withdraw that services, from February 8 today over, again, the poor welfare unimplemented agreement with the regime. So we see how this happened, whether this will be averted or this will go ahead as, it's been said, but we'll be giving more details as soon as we have it to those that are listening to us from different part of the globe.
Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing up this from Nigeria. But Yomi, from the top of your head, can you say how many trade unions in Nigeria are at the moment or embarking on a strike or have intention of going on a strike?
Well, like I said, at the moment, we might also be coming to see the petroleum industry might be also have a bigger hiccup. Since yesterday, there have been a lot of queue in Lagos State, regarding people trying to buy PMS, which is known as petrol, as at yesterday. As at this morning, that situation is still ongoing. But presently, we have ASU that seems to be going ready to go on what we call indefinite strike. That means they're not going to discuss with government when they want to come back. So if they say we're starting on Monday, that means every student across the country would then have to start making their way back home, apart from the private university. And most Nigerians cannot afford the private university because they're quite expensive. So we have the ASU at the moment. Likewise, we also have the aviation sector. You can detect that these two sectors are most important, in Nigeria today, because the reason why I said so is those that travel back home are not the tourists, because no tourist wants to go back to Nigeria because of so many crises that is happening in Nigeria. So we probably have more Nigerians that are going back home, and if there's an aviation strike, that means they might have to go through Ghana and then end up traveling on the bus, which might be a little bit, again, dangerous, because more Nigerians are still being kidnapped and killed, and I'll be discussing that later on. It's exactly 11:22. I do know that there's a lot of fluctuation with the network here, but I'll come back again to you in the studio. It is still Star Radio UK. If you're sending money home to your loved ones, remember to use send waves, whether you're sending to Kenya, Ghana, or Nigeria. That will get reached to them straight away. But remember to use the code STAR so that you can be able to get the discount if you're using it for the first time. Once again, good morning to those that have joined us. I welcome you to Star Radio UK.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Amayo says it always seems impossible until it's done. Yes, we can. Yoruba Nation. That's what he is saying pertaining to the unrest that goes on, or agitation by the Yoruba Nation group. Okay. We hope that wherever you are, you're also listening into the program. But let me hand over to you so that you can bring out some of the other stories making the rounds there. Over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Archie. We're going to be looking straight away into some of those headlines coming again out of Nigeria this morning. I'm going to touch quickly, like I said, on the case of this particular, one of the, what we call like a socialite in Nigeria. He has an hotel. He has a lot of, different businesses across Nigeria, and from what I'm told, outside Nigeria as well. But his case has been, a bit highlighted due to the fact that, a Nigerian that went to that hotel was killed, not because they died naturally, but because, something went wrong inside the hotel that belongs to this particular person. But it seems, as usual, just as we've seen before, most politicians and the elite doesn't want to have their cases being heard, and that means they will use everything they can to stop the case. So we're talking about, Adedoyin, where Timothy was killed, in his hotel. Three, most of the staff have been apprehended, but it doesn't seem the case is going as planned, as the news coming out this morning from Abuja. Abuja policemen harassed journalists during Ramon Adedoyin's trial as Hilton Hotel owner appears in neck brace. These are part of the method that they use. We've seen that in the process before. People are being wheeled into the court on a stretcher. People use all kind of reason that says they have healthcare issue. Justice Module Adebi of the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja has struck out the case against the proprietor of Hilton Hotel, Ramon Adedoyin, and 6 others over the death of Timothy Adegoke, a student of Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. The judge struck out the case on Tuesday following an application for notice of discontinuance of the case in pursuant to Section 108 of administration. So it looks like the way the situation is now, if care is not taken, justice might never happen to the family of Timothy. But we hope justice will be served so that these individuals can end up in the prison rather than moving around across the country. So we're going to touch small other headline and then we come back again. There's a Porter breakdown of NIM. Telecoms meet again as the Chinese and Nigerians battle the fort. Let's go into the story. NIM, if you're going to apply for a Nigerian passport today, without a name, you will not be able to do so. Remember, we did promote this at some point, I believe about some 3 years ago, when they were in London. We visited even their office at Oak Kent Road, when we were discussing that issue as at that time. It's called the National Identity Management Commission, but it seems something has gone wrong with their portal. There's been a technical hitch in the National Identity Number Verification Portal of the National Identity Management Commission, and has yet to resolve this for 7 days as we speak right now. This came as top officials of NIM met with the telecommunication service provider with a view to finding the solution to the glitch, which has left many telecom subscribers stranded as we speak right now. According to the report yesterday, thousands of telecommunication subscribers nationwide are seeking to retrieve their lost subscriber identity modular card or acquire a new line, and temporarily were stranded. Sometimes these issues happen not because of the negligence of a system. As the election is coming, we got to start looking into almost every details of what is happening in Nigeria, because Nigeria has become a location where more things happen without understanding it. Remember that the contestant, one of the presidential contestant, Bola Tinubu, even told us some few weeks ago that the PVC has expired. You might want to ask the question: a person that wants to contest for a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria came on air and say your permanent voter's card is no longer valid. He came back out after a couple of conversation coming up from INEC and almost everybody to debunk that again. Not debunk it, but to say it was probably maybe a slip of tongue. But what do we know? That he knows, and that also goes with the name. Remember that the current Minister of Telecommunication, which is Patami, has been linked to terrorism as well. And that has not been debunked by the government. Rather, the government has continued to shield and guide him into the the current government that we have today. So if we have a minister that has had sympathy, imagine you as a minister of communication in UK and you have sympathy with ISWAP or ISIS, you'll probably be taken away as quickly as possible. But it's the other way around in Nigeria. So more Nigerians must be able to look into this situation to find out, because when you talk about your name, it links you with so many things, not just because you want to get a passport, it also links you to the bank as well. The affected name portal enables telecom, the Nigerian immigration, the services, banks and other organizations to verify the national identity of their customer before attending to them. So that means more customers will probably be stranded, have been unable to get verification with the name. So we hope things will be resolved as quickly as possible for millions of Nigerians. Let's come back to some other headline before I come back to you in the studio. It's coming up to 29 minutes past 11 a.m. Ogun Custom impounded 100 trailers of foreign rice. But the first question is, I hope they are doing the same thing in Katsina, very close to Buhari's territory. I hope they are doing the same thing in Sokoto, where more trailers and more army nations have come in through Nigeria with what we call an open border. We have what we call a porous border in the northern part of the country, and with evidence base of world-waiting AK-47 of people coming from Niger, from Sahel, but rather because it's in the southwest of the country. That also is something that a lot of Nigerians have been talking about. Why should you close the border in the southwest, whereas in the northern part of the country, the border has left open? So the headline says, Ogun State Custom impounded over 100 trailers of foreign rice. According to the information, the Ogun One Command of Nigerian Customs Service has impounded not less than 101 trailers of foreign parboiled rice within the period of 13 months. The controller, Dare Inandi, disclosed this yesterday at a press conference held at the command headquarters in Idiroko. And I hope when we have evidence of these trailers that are still available, because sometimes, as they say, it's 101 trailer, you probably have 10 left because the remaining 90 has been sold off again by the same custom officer. Indeed, they explained that 96 trailer of load of rice comprises 57,000 bags of 50 kg were seized in 2021, while the 5 trailer loads comprises 3,000 bags of rice were intercepted in January this year. The question then again is, why do people want to bring in foreign rice into the country? More Nigerians will complain of different things as well. The farmers have been, remember we were at Ogun State in Kobakwe some few years ago when Starr Radio traveled down to Nigeria, and we visited some of the farms. We even have the, somebody interview from that particular farm. The reason that a lot of people cannot grow the farm, go into the farm as of today, is because there's a lot of terrorist attack. A caller on our show, like I said over the weekend, said he had to literally abandon a 25,000 acres of land because of the, insecurity in the country as well. So let's come back into the studio for now while we prepare some of the other headlines happening on social media and happening across the globe as well. It is Starr Radio UK, once again, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you there. But the question that I'm asking this morning is, are all Nigerians equal? Or, like the animal kingdom, some animals are more equal than others? Because if they say that, well, Ogun State, they manage to confiscate how many?
101.
101.
Well, that's even if the trailer are still in their vicinity. They've not sold it off.
Like Yomi said, it's the same thing being done in
business entirely.
Of course, the same thing being done in other states. Well, let me acknowledge a few people who have joined in and read their comments as well. Amaya Jeregene says that justice for Timothy, power belongs to the people. Oluremi Ogabi Kelanko, let me say good morning to you, or good afternoon, whichever is appropriate. Now, I expect that he said, I expect that because Nigeria is a lawless country. He's talking about the fact that this man appeared in court with braids, neck braids around him. And Pastor Emmanuel Togbe says, good job, sir. Togba.
Okay. From Southwest Nigeria.
Oh, hello, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. I say Yoruba Nation, no going back. Olayomi says, President Patrice Talon, free Chief Sunday Adeyemo, aka Igboho Osha. Very well done, Starr Radio UK. Olayomi continues. Amayo says, I stand with Sunday Igboho, and then he continues. Sunday Igboho Osa is a freedom fighter. Self-determination is not a crime. Now, who owns the trailers with rice? That is what Olayomi is asking. And Pastor Emmanuel once again say, I stand with Igboho Osha. Amayo says, some animals are more equal than others. Amayo, I agree with you 121%, because that seems to be the trend when it comes to our part of the world. But well, it is Starr Radio UK. Now let's look at the other story that you posted, said justice denied. Justice delayed is justice denied. Now, have we had any other information coming from Benin, Republic of Benin, pertaining to Sunday Igboho?
Well, apart from the AGF, which is the Attorney General of the Federation, during his conversation yesterday said, we will bring back Igboho to Nigeria so that he can face trial after he has concluded his trial in Benin Republic. But the question is, he hasn't got any trial in Benin Republic because even the federal government have not submitted any kind of case on his behalf on him in Benin Republic. So that means he's not going to come back to Nigeria, so that also guarantees those that have been a bit concerned and worried. What we said yesterday is exactly still what it stands, and we've been able to explain that further to more people that have been very worried, especially because he's been there for 6 months. The question is, why is he been there for 6 months? Is because the federal government of Nigeria wanted to kill him, assassinate him on the 1st of July 2021. That we must continue to remember, that the reason why Igboho is where he is because the federal government, rather than chasing the terrorists that is paraded across the length and breadth of Nigeria, decided to chase the shadow, according to even Professor Olayomi. So the reason why Igboho is still in Benin Republic is nothing more than the fact that the federal government chased him away out of Nigeria, and he was trying to get out of the country through Benin Republic on illegal means, because he was traveling with a valid traveling document, but he had to be stopped. So 6 months was signed at the beginning because of his political asylum that was applied in Benin Republic. That is the first point of application. That means he has to sign that for a guarantee under the UN law that he will not be maltreated, he will be treated very well, his security will be guaranteed. That 6 months, like I did explain yesterday, has already elapsed in January. And I'll give this explanation for those that probably have gone through what we call immigration here in UK. If you're being asked by the Home Office, after you've submitted whether an application for asylum and they are looking into it, you'll be given what they call a temporary stay in the country. And what does that mean is you'll be asked to go to places like Beckett House at London Bridge, where you will have to renew that stay every week. Sometimes it's every month, depending on the threat level of who you are. Sometimes you might be given 2 weeks, and sometimes every 3 months. A lot of people are still doing that as of today, somewhere in London Bridge, where the Home Office are. So this is almost similar to what has happened with Chief Sunday Igboho. He has to sign a kind of a new agreement that, according to the United Nations, he will be held there, while they are looking after him. It's not a sentence. So it seems a lot of people think that was a sentence slammed on Chief Sunday Igboho by Benin government. It's not a sentence because he hasn't done anything yet, and the court in Benin Republic have not, as of today, sentenced him for any offense. So a lot of miscommunication is out there that Chief Sunday Igboho has been sentenced for another 6 months. It is not a sentence. It is it is what we call duty of care of Benin Republic on Chief Sunday Igboho. And like you did talk about it, yes, Ilana UK put out that post that you read earlier on, and that says again, justice delay is justice denied for Sunday Igboho. Over 6 months without trial in Benin Republic is unlawful and against Article 31 of 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees. He won his case against the Nigerian federal government. We demand his unconditional release. Like I said, there's still a lot of work being done to make sure that he can be released. But being a political prisoner, it seems there's what we call hand in hand, government of government, African of African as usual. And that is why he's still being held there. But there's a lot of pressure on Benin Republic to make sure that he's released unconditionally. And likewise, the same thing, before I come back, let's discuss, with Nnamdi Kanu as well. We do know that Nnamdi Kanu is still currently being held by the DSS inside Abuja for what the Nigerian government, again, Malami, spoke about Nnamdi Kanu as well. But what Malami has not been able to tell Nigerian is, how did Nnamdi Kanu get back to Nigeria? That is a question that a lot of people wants to know. Was it kidnapped? Was he arrested? You can't just say, I'm just trying to bring out what the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu said yesterday. I'm going to read that quickly. It says, a press release, subject, absence of lawful extradition is the reason why Nigerian cannot explain how it intercepted Nnamdi Kanu. This is by Aloy Ejimako, one of the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu. Following the sudden appearance of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the Federal High Court on 29th of June last year, the Attorney General of Nigeria told the press something different, that Nnamdi Kanu was intercepted through the collaborative effort of Nigerian intelligence and security services. He added that recent step taken by the federal government saw to the interception of the fugitive Kanu on Sunday, the 27th of June 2021. Beyond this bland use of the word interception, interception is different from kidnapping and rendition. So what this legal representative are saying is, come out and give us an account, because our own clients have told us exactly what happened. It was in Kenya, and something happened. For 8 days, it was tortured. It was not taken to the court in Kenya, but the Nigerian government has refused to come out and tell us, but rather they say we intercepted him. They intercepted him as something that is there waiting to be picked up, but rather it was kidnapped and rendition back to Nigeria. Star Radio UK, I'll come back again to you in the studio.
Well, before I come to the question I wanted to add about extraditory treaty with Benin, let me acknowledge a couple of people, some of the comments that is going on there. Amayo says anywhere injustice persists, resistance becomes imminent. And then Pastor Emmanuel said, God bless you, sir, Mr. Yomi, for this great information about Igboho Osa. Thanks so much. And then Amayo continues, he said, wake up, rise up, stand up for your right and don't give up the fight. Pastor Emmanuel, he says, Yoruba nation, no going back. And Amayo says, there is light at the end of the tunnel. A luta continua, victory of Victoria Aseta. Okay, yes. So victory is imminent, something that will definitely happen. But let me ask you something there, because you know that the Nigerian ambassador to Benin was the former, is it military chief or something that they posted there?
Chief of defense. Yeah.
So is it a ploy to get somebody who's got a strong hand, and they will try to influence the government in Benin? And that is why Malami is saying that, when the Beninois have finished with what they are doing, then they're going to bring him to Nigeria to come and face the laws there. Is that what seems to be happening there?
Well, yeah, you're quite right. There's already pressure, by the Nigerian government representative in Benin Republic, Buratai, to make sure that they can convince, the government of Benin to release Chief Sunday Igboho, back to the Nigerian government. But Benin has not done so, as much as, they've given him the security in the country, which also, you talk about the extraditory treaty. We don't have one with Benin Republic. So that means it's not just going to be taken out of Benin straight to Nigeria. It doesn't work like that, because what happened in Kano State, in Nnamdi Kanu, is completely different from here, because the government kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu, bundled him, just as they wanted to kidnap Umaru Diko in 1984 by this same, present, individual known as, the president of Nigeria, Buhari. He wanted to do the same thing in 1984 here in UK, but it was stopped. Even that, as at the time, Umaru Diko was already in the cage on the Nigerian Airways, standing at the tarmac about to fly back to Nigeria, until intelligence says that aircraft must be searched, and eventually he has been drugged. So Nnamdi Kanu must have been done the same thing. This was what they wanted to do when Chief Sunday Igboho was stopped on the 19th. An aircraft, a private jet, flew back from Nigeria straight to Benin Republic. But because of the quick quick interjection of some of us behind the scene, we were able to stop that, and that's the reason why Chief Sunday Igboho was not taken back to Abuja, because more people would have woke up the next day on the 20th and realized that the government would have presented Igboho back to them. Because what the information they were telling Benin as at the time was, this is somebody of interest and we need to get him back to Nigeria as quickly as possible. But because the back end team knew what was happening, and we had to put a quick intervention into it, and like I said, the struggle still continue to get him out of there as quickly as possible, and everything is still being done to make sure as well. Also, there's a fake news that has been traveling as well on what we call the BBC Yoruba, which I also have to highlight quickly, that there's been some of the children of Igboho and in Germany as contracted COVID and all such. We would like to say that information is false, and we'll probably be putting a legal team to penalize that kind of information coming out of BBC Yoruba, and BBC Yoruba is still in line with the BBC here in UK.
Interesting. Now, if they contracted COVID, what is wrong? Are they not human beings? Can't they contract COVID? Should that be headline news? Well, that is some of the things that happen when it comes to Africa. Let me say good morning to Ismaila Ajadi Subaru. He says, "End Nigeria now, Yoruba nation now." Starr Radio UK, 11:44 the time. Let's go to the social media and see what is happening there. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, social media seems to have something trending this morning. I'm not sure why, but it says that Ashewo, hashtag Ashewo. Ashewo means a prostitute. Is a Yoruba language. But I'm trying to figure out why that is trending in Nigeria this morning. So I've clicked on that because already it's got almost 10,000 tweets. Also, Olosho is somebody engaged again in a kind of a prostitution. Those two are trending this morning in Nigeria, but again, not too sure why. But let's look at what people are saying. I'm looking at Reno Omokiri, a very, very critic of this government and somebody that is also, worked during the Jonathan regime as, I believe, the spokesman as well. Dear single man, a girl who is conscious about how much money you make, your future prospect is not automatically a gold digger. In fact, she's wise to have such concerns. Only fools leap without looking. Financial security is the bedrock of a marital stability. So I'm looking at what is why this is trending this morning, but it seems why it's trending is a very, very disgusting video. We can't show that of some young Nigerians having what we can call within the confinement of a bar, and that has actually gone into circulation. This video is not new, I can say, because I've come across that video sometime last year. There are 3 girls being doing what they have to do with some young men right inside a bar, out just behind the bar, and I believe that is why it's come back on again. I'm not sure who has posted that on the social media, but that is probably the reason why. Somebody says, I can't imagine the different types of tune these kids has heard. So it seems, most of the youth in Nigeria are more corrupt because the whole system itself is corrupt. And this person said, if hashtag Olosho goes strike today, you could be all right or not to begin stock up. So on a very weekend, Monday to Sunday in Nigeria, we have all kind of joints where young girls have become prostitute. And I'm sure you probably say, because some of the situation in Nigeria has led most of them to that.
Of course. Desperate situation. I mean, if people are desperate, people have completed universities, they don't have jobs to go to. Their parents might have taken loans or sold whatever they have to. What do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to do? I'm not praising that people should go on to do that at all. No. It's something that shouldn't be done. But when people are desperate, what do you expect them to do? And at times I say that, and I say shame onto our governments, our leaders who think that they are doing something, which in actual fact they are rather enriching themselves at the expense of the majority of the people. Well, Amaya Ajorogene says that it's because of Mo Abudu, a film producer accused of sleeping with various Nigerian politicians. Okay, throwing some light on that as well. And then Pastor Emmanuel says, Mr. Koiki, you are a great Yoruba man. God bless you, sir. God bless you, Pastor Emmanuel, as well. Yes, God bless you all. Okay, Yomi, before we go.
Well, stay tuned. Don't touch the dial. We still have, Archie, Frank, and others that will be giving you the remaining part of this program. But like I said, we'll be back again same time tomorrow. And from this end, I say have a very good morning. And thank you very much to everyone that have joined us this morning.
Yes. Okay, listeners, that was Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. We're going to take a musical break, but once we come back, we'll continue with the stories. But this afternoon, as I announced earlier on, Sam Henshaw, Nigerian born British, will be on the show exactly at 1:30 on BB Clement's BB Means Business Show with BB Clement. So make a date. If you've never listened to that program before, I want to beseech you, my brethren, that listen to it. Sam Henshaw, he is just under 30, but he is overachieving. Maybe we can learn something from whatever he is doing at the moment. If you're a parent, you are you are a young adult. You are whatever it is. make sure that you listen to that program. It will help you a great deal. But exactly at 12 o'clock, I'll be having BB Clement, who will be joining in to throw more light on that. But let's take a quick break. I come back, I bring you Which Way Nigeria, because that seems to be their song that narrates everything or sums out everything that seems to be going on in Nigeria at the moment. Stay tuned, don't you go away.
Welcome to Gabby Dave Global. We are a UK-based online e-commerce store, the first of its kind with license to trade in African products. Some of the products are clothing brands and all beauty accessories, hair and beauty brands, natural aphrodisiacs, processed and dried unprocessed food. Our mission at Gabby Dave is to connect African and Caribbean businesses to customers globally. At Gabby Dave, we ensure our sellers get the best deal for their products. We are not just here to help you reach a wider audience. We are also a distribution center to support business growth by fulfilling orders to your customers from our warehouse, making sure customers receive their products on time. We are inviting all Black-owned businesses to trade on our platform because we strongly believe Africans have a unique brand the customer would appreciate globally. So get in touch today and let us make your product and business go far. Here are some of the benefits of using Gabby Dave Global. User-friendly platform, track your shipment, online support, transparent process, multiple SKUs, multiple products, a platform that encourages manufacturers as well as traders. Our marketing and PR interventions amplifies yours. Organized products and categories for easy access and navigation. Access to global community, especially within UK and Europe.
Yes, I want to know which way Nigeria is heading to. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go?
Which way to go?
I love my fatherland.
Oh yeah.
I want to know.
I want to know
which way Nigeria is heading to.
Many years after independence, we still find it hard to start. How long shall we be patient before we reach the promised land? Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die.
Which way Nigeria?
Which way?
Which way Nigeria?
Tell me.
Which way to go? I love my fatherland.
Oh yeah.
I want to know.
Yes, I want to know
which way Nigeria is heading to.
every little thing that goes wrong. We start to blame the government. We know everything that goes wrong because we are part of the government. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die.
Which way Nigeria?
Which way?
Which way Nigeria? Which way to go?
Which way to go?
I love my fatherland.
Oh yeah.
I want to know.
Want to know
which way Nigeria is heading to.
inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there and everywhere. Inflation is soaring high. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die.
Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go?
Which way to go?
I love my fatherland.
Oh sure, sure.
I want to know.
Yes, I want to know
which way Nigeria is heading to.
we made mistakes during the oil boom, not knowing that was our doom. Some people now have everything, while many have nothing. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't fall.
Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go?
Which way to go?
I love my fatherland.
Oh yeah.
I want to know. revolution is a reality. Let's give it a chance to grow. Let's join our hands to farm the land so we can have enough food to show. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Way to go. I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is headed to? Our ambition to be millionaires is running the country down. We all want to be millionaires and to live in the air. Oh, let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria?
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
In your car,
At work.
at home,
On your
Starr Radio
smartphone.
UK. Are you ready to turn it up?
Yes, we want to
Archie on Starr Radio. Nobody does it.
remember that a simple step is the beginning of a million miles. Let's start right now to rebuild ourselves so as to make the country smile. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Heaven and earth will pass away. It is written in the book of God. The good people will surely find their ways, and the meek will inherit the world. Let's save Nigeria so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yes. I want to know. We want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria?
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program. Yes, as you can see on your screens, this afternoon exactly at 1:30 p.m. BB Clement will be coming your way with BB Means Business, and she is having as her guest the one and only Sam Henshaw. Sam Henshaw is a Nigerian, born British, who is a musician, a producer, name it. And he is under 30, but he is living the life. Now, you want to know about his experience so far, his journey so far to where he is. You want to know that? Make sure you make a date with BB Clement when the book come your way exactly at 1:30 this afternoon. So it is all Starr Radio UK. You know, we bring you tailored measured program to make sure that you get all the necessary information that you need in all aspects of your life. I should be having BB Clement joining me in a moment, but now let's continue. Yes, let's continue with the show. Let's continue with the show. Okay. at Starr Radio UK. Before we move on to some other conversations or some of the other stories as well. As I did say earlier on, BB Clement will be joining me exactly in the next few moments, few seconds, name it. But you want to join this program, Henshaw, some of the music that he's come out with. I mean, yesterday I was listening to it. I've not known him, but when the information was all his portfolio, call it, was sent to me, and I went through it, listening to some of the songs, the tracks that is made, and I was like, wow, that is quite catchy. But well, you want to know more? He appeared on the late night show also in the US as well. So it's going to be quite an interesting program this afternoon, which I don't want you to miss out at all, as BB Clement meets the one and only Sam Henshaw. Yes, you don't want to miss that. But I've got BB Clement herself on the show now. She's going to be throwing more light on what is going to be happening this afternoon, exactly at 1:30. And let me say, BB, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Archie. Good afternoon. Yes, just like you said, listen, you don't want to miss the BB Means Business show today, because we have the unbelievable, talented Mr. Sam Henshaw on the show. Sam Henshaw, as a lot of you know, was recently on the James Corden show, singing from his latest album. But the reason why he's going to be on the BB Means Business show is because we're starting a new series on under 30 and overachieving. Look, it's important that we know what young people are doing to create wealth. A lot of them are saying, no, we don't want the lifelong job. No, we don't even need the university degree. We want to create wealth now. So we want to tap into what it is that they're doing, make sure that they're doing it right, they're doing it legal. But yes, let's hear what Sam Henshaw has been doing to create wealth for himself and to turn his gifting into something that he can monetize. So don't miss this show. If you've got teens or you've got young adults, they need to listen in on this show so that they can be inspired to build a great future.
Wow.
See you then.
Wow. Definitely, you have to be there. Whilst we are in a time where knife crimes just continue to go on, and you ask yourself, what can our youth actually do to better their lives? If you want to know more, under 30 and achieving, living their lives the legal way, make sure you join BB Clement this afternoon, exactly at 1:30, when she meets Sam Henshaw. Yes, thank you very much, BB. See you later. Okay, listeners, it's Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. I bring you the time now to 2 minutes past 12. Let's take a quick break. We come back and then we look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, starting from home here in the UK. We'll be having Kojo D joining in, and as many as well. You can also join in. Why not? Let me announce the lines open. You can, if you want to join in the conversation, it's 0208-133-2257 or 5800 0208-133-2257 or 58. Now, if you happen to be in the US, it is 001-718-303-2737. 001-718-303-2737. And that is the US, Canada, and the Caribbean area. Okay? Now, if you want to text or WhatsApp, it's 07539661744. 07539661744. And our Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK. Email address is info@starradiouk.com. Thank you very, very much. A quick break and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business. The show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business, but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK. 4 minutes past the top of the hour. Now let's go look at some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK and other parts of the world. Topmost on the story is the incident that happened in front of the Defense Ministry. And number 10 source says Boris Johnson got other staff to get on with despite demands from his own MPs. So he's not going to be apologizing. He doesn't want to apologize. I think that he didn't tell those people to attack Keir Starmer. And he reckons that, maybe his fame, if he's winning and Keir is also winning that way, then maybe it's good for him. Now, number 10 has no intention of apologizing for the Prime Minister's false claim that Sir Keir Starmer failed to prosecute Jimmy Savile after the Labour leader was targeted by protesters near Parliament. Now, Boris Johnson is facing fresh calls from Tory MPs to say sorry after protesters were heard shouting about a sex offender as well as protesting about COVID measures. But a senior source said he's got other staff from number 10 said he's got other staff to get on with today. Mr. Johnson did not condemn the harassment. In a tweet, he said the behavior directed at Sir Keir on Monday afternoon was absolutely disgraceful and completely unacceptable. But a number 10 source said it was unreasonable to suggest that what happened on Monday was Boris' fault and not the mob's fault. At least 7 Tory MPs later linked the incident to Prime Minister's incorrect comment and demanded the Prime Minister said sorry. However, Northern Ireland Secretary Brendan Lewis said the Prime Minister had made a fair and reasonable point about Sir Keir taking responsibility for the organization he led, and nobody should use the remarks to excuse behavior from thugs. Now, video on social media showed Sir Keir being escorted into a police car on Victoria Embankment shortly after 17 hours GMT close to Portcullis House, an office building used by MPs. Now, protesters could be heard repeatedly shouting traitor while criticizing the Labour leader for supporting COVID vaccination and not opposing the government or protecting the working man. Now, some protesters were seen holding signs opposing mandatory vaccination and restriction to curb the spread of COVID. But there were also shouts about attacks on journalists, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, and about protecting pedophiles, naming Savile. Some MPs have linked these remarks to the false claim that Mr. Johnson made in the Commons last week when he said Sir Keir spent most of his time prosecuting journalists and failing to prosecute Jimmy Savile. Now, Scotland Yard later said a man and a woman were arrested after a traffic cone was thrown at officers. That is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Oluremi says Yoruba Nation now, no retreat and no surrender. Thank you very much, Oluremi, for continuing to listen or join us on the broadcast. Still coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, so what is your take on this this issue? Do you think we see a similar trend as what happened in the US last year in January when the election results for Joe Biden was supposed to be concluded or assented? Let me put it that way. And then we had the former president Donald Trump saying that, well, his deputy, his vice president, could have gone there and changed the result and not allow Biden to become president so that he can come and take over. Well, that thing that he did, standing before the White House, that incited the mob to go to the Congress to go and misbehave there, the capital to go and misbehave there. Do you think it's the same thing? That incitement that has gone on, that has caused people to behave this way. Somebody will say that, well, what do you call him? The Prime Minister said in the House of Parliament didn't warrant anything of the sort. He said maybe this is what the person might have done, which some are saying that it's below the belt. It's below the belt because it had got no correlation with what was going on at the time. The Partygate issue that was going on at the time, and the call by various people and its own backbenchers to step down or resign, it got nothing to do with what had gone on when Sekia Starmer was at the helm of that body. So what do you think? Yeah, it is All Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, calls for windfall tax grows as BP's profit surge. Now, come April, we're going to be facing up to 54% in energy prices. Okay, rising energy prices. But well, oil giant BP has reported its highest profit for 8 years, prompting calls for a windfall tax on energy companies. Now, BP posted a profit of $12.8 billion, which is 9.5 billion pounds for 2021, and it made more than 4 billion in the final quarter of the year when oil and gas prices surged. The jump in energy prices means households are facing huge increases in gas and electricity bills from April. Now, Labour said it was only fair and right that energy firms making higher profits should pay more tax. Now, last week, rival oil giant Shell also reported bumper profits of $19 billion on the same day that the energy regulator announced UK householders will see a 54% rise in their domestic energy bills in April. I remember last week when we were having the program when Frank was saying that, well, if you want to buy stock, go buy some shares in the oil companies. Yes, you'll be making money. You'll be smiling all the way to the bank because some way, somehow, they are able to either outweigh government or whatever the rules, and they make lots of profits there. Okay, however, firms like BP argue that they are facing an unprecedented challenge while the global economy remains heavily dependent on fossil fuels. They are being urged to shift to lower carbon alternatives and need to big profits to fund that transition. There is much debate over whether the energy industry can be relied on to pursue a renewable revolution quickly enough, and whether imposing higher taxes will slow down the change or provide the incentives to accelerate it. Now, announcing the latest results, Chief Executive Bernard Looney said 2021 shows BP doing what we said we would, performing while transforming. He said the company was delivering for the shareholders with $4.15 billion of shares buybacks and an increased dividend. BP had also made strong progress in its transformation towards becoming a low carbon energy business, he said. Last year, bumper profits follow a 5.6 billion loss BP reported in 2020 when economies around the world were shut down due to the COVID pandemic. So when we were not driving, they weren't making lots of money. We started to drive and they are making huge sums of money. But government will say that, well, when the prices rise or fall, we don't see that reflection, you know. Slightly, will you see any reflection on that sort? A liter of diesel or petrol, my goodness, you don't want to know. Well, but it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Looking at the stories making the round at 13 minutes past 12 the time. Don't you worry, I'll bring you some lovely tune during the course of the program as well. But I've got with me Kojo D from South London, who has also joined the program. So we'll be crossing over to him, and let's say a massive good afternoon to you, Kojo.
Yeah, good afternoon, Arch. Now today I join you on video.
yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. So yeah. So we can see Kojo in South London. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. I'm doing well. Yourself?
Yeah. Doing very, very well. Doing very well. And thank you for joining me once again.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, let's go to the Prime Minister. What happened pertaining to Sir Keir Starmer's attacks? Let me put it that way. Yeah. And the fact that the Prime Minister is still saying that I'm not going to be apologizing. I've tried to clarify whatever statement that I made in Parliament last Wednesday. Now, do you think that goes far enough, or do you think that what the statement that he made in Parliament seem to have incited these people to behave this way? And we see a trend of what happened in the US vis-a-vis Donald Trump and the insurrectionists who went to the Capitol to attack Congress there.
Yeah, you can probably liken the two. I mean, you've already established that there was no correlation between Partygate and Sir Keir Starmer apologizing on behalf of the Crown prosecution when he was the director of the DPP.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the DPP. Sorry, he was the director of the of the Crown prosecution service. I mean, there is no correlation whatsoever. So it's just like picking on David Cameron, who apologized for the Bloody Sunday affair.
Yeah.
I mean, then you say he apologized. So there should be a reason, then you pick up on it. That is the kind of thing. He had no link whatsoever. After the time, he apologized because he was the director of that service. That is why he apologized. So that is the basis for it. So if you go and pick up on somebody like Theresa May, who also apologized for mistakes of previous government, then you find it a bit
the Windrush issue that went on.
Exactly. I mean, so you have David Cameron also apologized on behalf of apartheid years ago. So you go and pick up on him because he's made an apology. So do you hold him responsible? I mean, it's what we call dog whistle. I mean, it's nothing to do with him, and it's nothing to do with his work. But he, being the director at that time, he felt the need to put in that formal apology on behalf of the service. Then you go into Parliament and pick it up and make that slur. It's political wrong, given the background that some 2 MPs have already been killed as a result. Other MPs have been attacked as a result from the right-wing people, or even if you don't name them right-wing, from a group of people who felt, in a case of, first of all, the female MP, who felt that, she wasn't doing what we wanted her to do, or somebody else energized her because she was opposed to Brexit. So they attacked her and killed her. And other MPs have suffered that same fate. And just saying that you didn't energize these people. But it's like, I wanted to use this phrase that they use in connection with oxygen, giving oxygen to the fire. These people going out and shouting, "Purify, protector." And Jimmy Savo at him. You cannot, disengage yourself from the statement that he made in the House of Commons. I mean, if you have your own MPs calling on you that you should go and make an apology, then it means that what you did is completely wrong. And you have government ministers trusting the news houses, TV stations and radio stations, trying to make a huge justification and trying to establish a link that is nothing to do. He was making a point, he has clarified. But at the same time, you have other senior government ministers, including the Chancellor of the Exchequer, saying that they wouldn't have made such a statement. Even the Health Secretary also saying he wouldn't have made such a statement. I mean, so you should know there's something wrong, and someone, a trusted aide, who have been with him for more than a decade resigning as a result, then there's something wrong with what he said. I think for number 10 Downing Street constantly not trying to apologize for passing that slur, it's wrong. It's completely wrong. It's nothing to do with Sir Keir Starmer. He apologized on behalf of the service. This is like me making an apology on behalf of Starr Radio. For an error that was done 20 years ago. Will I be held responsible individually for those errors 20 years ago when I wasn't in leadership of Starr? It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. So if you look at Bloody Sunday, David Cameron was a child.
At the time.
He probably didn't even have an ambition to become a prime minister. But he apologized. So you go and hold him and make a slur about that apology. I think it's just wrong. I think it's just wrong. Plainly wrong.
So do you think that maybe he apologizing will make any difference? Because there are people who, once they have these things go on in their heads, it's difficult to actually, let me put it this way, get it out of their heads, because that is what, like, they get. I don't know whether they are so fickle-minded. I don't want to put it that way, but let me put it that way. That any little incitement makes them think, hey, let's get on. And do you?
Even if they are fickle-minded, I think that goes a long way to tell the general public that you've shown some kind of remorse to the statement you made there. So will it justify if somebody else went to the Houses of Parliament and called him a liar? As somebody I mean, it's in the same vein that somebody called him a liar, and the person was thrown out of the chamber for calling him a liar. And invariably, he's going to do something that is akin to not telling the truth.
Which means lies, but they said don't say that.
You can't go and call him a liar. It's just akin to not telling the truth, which he's much aware that the slur he casted on him is not the absolute truth. But for people who hold conspiracy views, they take it and run with it. And there are so many there who would even go and find out the actual truth of the matter, but they will just take it as the Prime Minister said it, so it's gospel truth.
Well, listen to Starr Radio UK. Olayomi says, welcome on board, Kojo. Yes, Olayomi, thank you very much for being with us as well. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones. Wherever you are listening to us from or viewing us from. Okay, let's move on to some of the other stories that is making the rounds. But let's touch on something that myself and Olayomi did touch on that pertains to Sunday Igboho's story. Now, this is the case where after the 6 months that the Beninoans have kept him, now that 6 months is lapsed, where he's applied for what do you call it? Is it asylum as what do you call it? A political prisoner, sort of. Okay. Now, the Attorney General of Nigeria in a press statement has said that, well, when the Beninoans are finished with him, whatever they are prosecuting him for, then they're going to bring him to Nigeria. So I was asking the question: has Nigeria got an extraditory treaty with Nigeria, Benin, and Nigeria? Have they got anything of the sort? And when it comes to the ECOWAS, do we have a extradition treaty amongst ourselves so that when somebody does anything in the sub-region, you know that until you leave the sub-region, you are susceptible to, being thrown away or thrown back to your people? What is it from the top of your head? Do you have any information pertaining to that?
As far as I know, there's no extradition treaty between Nigeria and Benin.
Okay.
So, as far as I know, there isn't. And I can't remember whether there's even an extradition treaty in the ECOWAS Charter. Right. If there is not, because the ECOWAS Charter or the ECOWAS has been drawn in such a way that each country cooperates with the other. There could be that there is no extradition treaty necessary. They could just send him over if they want to. But what exactly is his crime in Benin?
That they said he entered because.
So what I'm going to say is that those are trumped up charges against him.
Yeah.
Every ECOWAS citizen has a right to travel into any ECOWAS country of their choice. So, Sunday Igboho being in Benin, he is just exercising the treaty rights that every citizen of ECOWAS has. So why would you arrest him and put him away that he's actually entered Benin illegally?
He's a political prisoner who is being persecuted and had to flee.
Exactly. I can't just understand, these West African leaders. So, as a citizen of West Africa, you have every right to cross any of the borders. And if you cross the borders, if you've not committed a crime against the state you cross the border into, you have the treaty rights protect you to freely move in any part of ECOWAS. So pretty soon, are we going to say, look, if I cross the border from Ghana to Nigeria, Nigeria is going to hold me up because for a crime I have not committed?
You've entered Nigeria illegally.
Exactly. It doesn't really make sense because they are breaking the treaty rights of Sunday Igboho. I can't just understand it. Is this basically because the current Nigerian government had requested Benin to hold him, and the current Nigerian government is holding Benin by the throat? So Benin will just do whatever they want. What actually are they doing with him? They are holding him behind bars. For what reason?
For what?
It's not absolutely. There's no reason holding that man in prison. For what? He has committed no crime whatsoever against Benin. He's just exercising his treaty rights as a citizen of ECOWAS. Each one of us, whether you're from Ghana, you're from Benin, you're from Togo, you are from Ivory Coast, you're from Nigeria. When we pick our passports are the same. They are green passports saying you are an ECOWAS citizen. So why is it, as an ECOWAS citizen, why is he being held behind bars?
That's a question.
I think somebody should tell us. Somebody should tell us why they are holding. Is it a crime to cross from one country to the other?
I think we might have to try to find a way of communicating with the Benin embassy here in the UK and have a chat with them to find out exactly what is going on.
The truth is that if we go to the Benin embassy today, they won't talk. They won't give us any information. They will be silent. They will refuse to even make a comment on the situation because they don't want to. Because they don't want to offend Nigeria.
Big brother. Okay, Olayomi says hi. Olayomi, very well. Thank you very much. He said he's listening to us all the way, watching us all the way from Cotonou. Yes, Cotonou, that's Benin. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for doing so. Yeah. All right then, Starr Radio UK, 28 minutes past 12. Let's move on to some other stories making rounds in other parts of the world. Now, do you think that this windfall by this BP and last week we had that of Shell, coming on, you see the huge profits that they've made, and they're talking about the fact that no, we cannot share that with people, we cannot share that with our consumers because it's money that we have to keep so that with all this restructuring when it comes to environment and everything, generating of energy, we're going to be using that. Do you think that's a good excuse?
Well, that's not a brilliant excuse. I mean, UK could do more than that. I mean, these guys, Shell and BP, just put together, they've made close to a 40 million.
Yeah.
In a year. I mean, that's a huge lot of money. Look, you go to France today. France have levied EDF 8.4 billion euros to put back into helping consumers.
Yeah.
But UK government is borrowing us £2,200 to pay over how many years?
Is it 4 or 5 years?
It doesn't really make sense.
Oh,
and if you
God.
look at the last quarter alone, the last quarter before these figures were published, which was going back last year, because of lockdown, they've made more money within the lockdown because more people are staying home and their bills have been running in the 2 winters that we had the lockdown. So they've made money out of us, huge money. They've made huge money. So why couldn't they have some of this money funneled back into the energy sector to reduce prices for consumers? It doesn't simply, the maths doesn't work for me. Simply as I mean, they're making, and shareholders will be making huge money. So, right like Frank said, if we all had a lot of money, we would have been putting it into this oil company, Shell and BP.
Yeah,
we would have invested in it. I mean, it's a fact that some of the investment that Shell and BP puts in place goes into supporting our pensions and all that. Many companies invest. Many of the shareholders might be big-time businesses that have invested in their pension portfolio. But then again, that's 40 billion, nearly 40 billion in a year.
Yeah.
It's a huge
so, no, we keep that one, you know.
What? Huge profit. And if they give 10 billion back to the consumers, each of us, our energy prices will fall. What we're paying now, given the fact that what we're paying now had gone up nearly 50%, it doesn't work out for us. This government is doing nothing. I'm not really bashing them.
They are the big, they are the big shots when it comes to, I mean, all those companies and stuff like that. So they wouldn't do anything to, I mean, cutting their nose to spite their face. No way, they wouldn't do that.
No. They're not going to do that. So the situation is not nice. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not nice for them. I mean, even these energy companies, Shell and BP, just two of them, between them, they've made 40 billion. Just the two of them. That's huge money in a year. And God knows what they're going to make next year. It could double to 50 billion.
Yeah, because they said that that's the is it the last part or the first part of this? No, the last part of last year, the last month. They made 4 billion. The last quarter, they made 4 billion. I'm like, gosh.
So this first quarter, how much are they going to make?
Oh man,
close to 6-7 billion. And we enter from April, which starts another quarter. They could be making 16 billion. And in a year, those two could make about 60 to 80 billion in profit.
They'll be laughing all the way to the bank, man. They will be. Well, Olayomi says that, well, it's my gas and electricity provider is EDF, and I'm paying so much for both.
He is absolutely right. Look, he is 100% right. EDF, Energy de France, the owners of that company are in France. But even then, the French government has put a huge levy on the profits they made in France. So they pay back 8.4 billion to the French government to reduce energy prices. So in the US, look, everybody is probably already paying half what normal times that in the UK we pay towards energy. So now we've gone 50% up. So we're paying about 75%
more
than you go to a place in the US. And UK has a lot of energy also. I mean, they are importing energy. You know, we discussed on this program.
Yeah.
Offshore in Scotland, they could just increase production of petroleum. They could just decide that they go into shale gas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Environmentalists will not be happy when we say this. That they increase the ramp up. But the honest truth is that we are in hard and difficult times.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to make an adjustment. Whether I'm an environmentalist, which, you know, I used to be a strong member of Green Earth and Greenpeace, but we still, all of us recognize that, look, in hard times, you need to make adjustments. You don't consistently, you know, plow on with executing the policies you want to execute. Like they say in the UK, a huge chunk of our bill goes into green levy. So why couldn't they remove the green levy just for a year? And when things balance up, or instead of putting green levy on consumers, put a green levy on Shell and BP.
The energy providers themselves.
Exactly. And that solves the problem. And our bills are reduced. And we don't owe government £200 each to over a 5-year period.
Yeah. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 12:35 the time, the morning show. We're entering into the final segment of the show. But as I announced this morning, and having BB Clement joining in this afternoon, we're going to be having Sam Henshaw joining us. He's a Nigerian-born British who is doing it. He's making it. Now, do you want to know how he's making it? He's a musician, a producer, name it. He's under 30 and overachieving. Now, if you are a parent, you are an adult, or whatever you are, and you want to know how he's doing it, so that it can also push you, urge you on, to encourage you to also better off your life. Why not? Make sure you listen to us on that program. But with me, Kojo D in South London, I'm Archie, and we are looking at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe. Now let's come to let's go straight to Africa, where we want to look at a couple of stories that is making the rounds in Ghana as well. Now, time is ticking for the crisis-ridden Ghanaian economy. Who is speaking? John Mahama. He said there is no dispute that the Ghanaian economy is in deep crisis. A crisis marked by huge budget deficits, an unsustainable public debt, rising inflation, a rapidly depreciating currency over rising costs of living, and a loss of confidence by both domestic and international investors. Now, let me add a couple of stories to that, and then we can have a look at it. Now, all road contractors will be paid if e-levy is passed. And that is from the Road and Highways Minister. Kwesi Amoakwata has promised road contractors in the country their outstanding debts will be paid in full if the controversial e-levy is passed. Now let's come to the other story that I wanted to add to that, and then that's okay. Let me just leave it there. But we're looking at the Fitch rating, the Fitch rating of Ghana to B minus, making us not credit worthy. Okay, and that is the case where we know, because of the government knowing all that, though the president has said that, now forget about those reports, because they don't seem to actually paint the right picture. But when it was painting it positively for them, they were singing the praises. Now that it came negatively, they think no, and they are thinking they're going to appeal it. Now, last year I think they went for the Eurobonds, which wasn't bought. They went to the market, they didn't make anything out of that. So we see that confidence in our economy is gone. But as the former president is saying that, look, it is about time we put our heads together, and then let's see how to get the country out of it. What do you think should be the way forward? We had Mahama doing Senche. You remember that Senche, whether conference or this and that they did, and putting their heads together. Do you think it is about time Ghana does that, or the president, Kufuor and his team, see to do something of the sort?
Well, when you have credit rating from Finch as -B, who will be interested in investing in the economy? But because they have put out bonds into the market, nobody is interested in the bonds. It means that the bonds are worthless. That is why nobody really wants to buy them. Then you have several government ministers talking about e-levy is going to fix the economy. I mean, the money they intend to raise from the e-levy is not going to fix the economy. Let us have it straight. You have all the spinning going around, talking about when we pass the e-levy, it will do this, it will do that, it will do that, it will do that. This is the latest in that spin about contractors.
Road contractors. You will not be paid if you don't do the e-levy, so make sure you pay.
It's gone on for a long time since the introduction of this e-levy into the budget from last year. So it's been going on. I think, and the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, had already also been quoted as saying that they will pass the e-levy. Is the e-levy really going to solve the economic problems of the country? The answer is no. The amount of money they projected to raise from e-levy is a small fraction of the money they need in the economy every year. They're talking about e-levy going to pay off debts, e-levy going to pay recurrent expenditure. Now e-levy will pay what? Contractors. They talked about e-levy going to pay free school program. What else haven't they said about e-levy? They talk about e-levy, a panacea to generating employment.
Youth employment.
What else is left for them not to say? I think the next one probably they will say is that e-levy is going to pay up every problem that a country has.
Meanwhile, it's just call it 1 billion pounds or dollars. It's dollars, $1 billion. Looking at it,
1 billion, and the country on a whole every year needs more than that.
Yeah, then up to about 40 something billion.
It needs 40 billion.
Yeah,
it needs 40 billion. So even if e-levy is generating 9 billion, that's an assumption I'm making. If e-levy is able to raise 9 billion, so there's a huge gap for another 30 billion that needs raising into the economy. So I mean, e-levy is not a situation, and a huge majority of the population is against e-levy. So as to why the government can't see it, it's a difficult thing to really answer. They should see that a huge proportion of the population is against it, including their own MPP members. So it is not just LDC and its members who are against it.
But do you think, not to cut you, not to cut you there. Now the Speaker of Parliament is from NDC, okay, and the party are against this e-levy. Now instead of them to do open ballot, why don't he give them the opportunity to do a secret ballot? So by so doing, we know that those who don't want it, but because they know that when they take that action, they'll be prosecuted by or pursued by their party, will have the free hand of voting for what they believe in.
Well, let's put it this way. Is there any secret balloting in Ghana? Even if it's secret, somebody will be able to say that this is an individual who voted against it. Because some MPs of the ruling government would have probably expressed in their own way why they don't like it, but openly they might not have said it. So even if they go in and vote what difference is it going to make? I mean, it's just like the UK here. We say they whip all the party MPs in line to vote on a certain decision. So it's going to be the same. The majority whip is just going to whip all everybody to vote in the same way. So does it make any difference? And the stalemate will still continue, irrespective of whether people were voting secretly. And look, let us have it now. Some of the MPP MPs in Parliament now are not there for their own conscience.
Yeah. Of course.
Most of the African politicians, look, they don't exercise conscience.
No. Bootlickers.
They will just still plow on, irrespective of whether their constituents are against it or not. And they've forgotten that they represent a constituency, but they go in and execute their own agenda. They don't speak for any of the constituencies. That's all. And when it comes to election time, they know how to go back and win votes from the same constituency by promising them and giving them peanuts. Some even are giving monies in their pocket that only buy a bottle of water. So that is the situation they are in, and it's going to just continue. It's just going to ramble on and ramble on and ramble on. And surprisingly, I haven't heard a vice president make any comments.
Yeah, because apparently he is one who is not in favor of the e-levy. Yeah, and that's why he's been quiet on that front.
And you know why he is quiet on that front? Look, he wants to be the next president, and he doesn't want the e-levy. Looking at the sentiments of the of the whole population, probably about 70 to 80% of the population is against e-levy. So if he wants to be president and he wants to be voted for, then he should be seen as being quiet. So that he can ensure that he still becomes president. I haven't also seen the other person who is also
Alan Chairman.
No comment. Where it's coming from. They don't want to commit themselves and be tagged with the people who brought hardship to the economy or to Ghanaians. So they will go quiet and make and hitch their chances of not being the people actively promoting it and ride on that to become president. So when they come into power, it would have already been implemented. So it is not them who implemented it.
Now let's look at the report that Fitch Moody's had the rating for Ghana. Now, is it credible? Because I know that you work in those environments, and therefore you know. Is it a credible thing?
It is credible. I mean, years ago, we found South Africa in a similar position with all these, what do we call it? All of the corruption scandal in America. South Africa. Sorry, not America. In South Africa. So that, as a result, the rating agencies downgraded. It's just like you having a credit report. If your credit score is lowered, your chances of getting a loan is equally diminished. So that is the situation. If as a country, your credit rating is lowered, the chances of these big corporates or investors looking at the economy as a destination to invest their money, they won't do it, because there's no guarantee that when they invest their money, they're going to get the bulk of their investment back. So that is the situation. So I'm just making it slightly simpler to making it equal to what we see in our personal credit report. So any of the credit agencies, like a personal credit report, we have three main ones in the UK, which is a TransUnion, which some know as Equifax, and we have the Experian. So if these three main groups grade you in your report, you are not going to get any facility from any of the banks. So it's the same situation. A Finch and others who do national or country credit reports, put it that way, ratings, downgrade you on their scale. Nobody is prepared to loan that government money.
Interesting. Now, so do you think that the government should go to the IMF? Because looking at the IMF and looking at the e-levy, which one would you prefer?
But IMF is not the best place to go. I mean, we all lived through the 80s.
Yeah.
We were all secondary school.
Yeah. What did they call it?
School?
Yeah, secondary school. They call it. I've forgotten the various terms that they were using at the time.
Yeah, and we all went through. It was a structural adjustment
program.
And we all went through that structural adjustment program, restructuring and retrenchment. People were laid off from jobs. People's families were ruined because IMF comes with a stringent economic management measures. So do we want to go there again and have problems? And not only going back, when you go back to the IMF, other countries also, again, all these big companies who lend you, or these big other nations who invest in the economy. So if we go back to the IMF, do you think the Chinese will be prepared to invest in a country? Do you think the Chinese will be prepared to give money out to the government? No, because there's adjustment of the economy. So many IMF forced the government of the day, which was a Rawlings government, those times, to sell off assets that they
belong to the state.
To sell. And they sold them off at cheap rates, going rates, and other, countries, governments, multinationals got them at bargain price because there need to be a restructuring of the economy. So that kind of thing, who wants it again? I don't think anybody wants it again. There must be another way out. There might be a third way out. If we don't want the e-levy, if we don't want IMF, what is the way out? There must be a third way out. That is why they were elected to be there. We have not been elected to be there. We are not economists. We don't control the government. We don't control the purse of the nation. So they have been put in place to control the economy and to make plans that will grow the economy. So it is up to them to come with a third way. If there's no e-levy, there's no IMF, which nobody wants to go to, find another way out.
Should they have maybe a SHA conference of a sort? Because before they came in, whilst they were in opposition, they were saying that we've got a man. And when the then NDC government led by Mahama was there calling for them, they didn't turn up. I remember there was.
I remember very well.
It was only one MPP economist. I've forgotten his name. Kwame Pianim. Who I remember going there, and even he was chastised
because he was a key speaker.
And was chastised for that by the party. So do you think that is what is putting impediment their way, not making them think, okay, let's ask for help from other people?
They are not. Look, if the current MPP government decides to call a similar thing like the Sinchi Economic Forum to discuss the way forward, NDC is not going to show up.
But the president, the former president, has come and said that they should do that and they will show up.
Well, I know he said that, but how many of them are going to show up? Is the MPP going to be ready to even take the suggestion?
That is it. They won't, because if they take it, they'll say that.
That is the situation. Because when you go into all these even e-levy, I mean, the minority or the opposition, I had series of meetings with them before coming up with the e-levy. But the MPP government still wasn't ready to change their stance on the 1.75%. I'm sure if they have all come to a compromise, this e-levy thing would have been passed by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not at the percentage they wanted, and everybody would have been happy. Yeah, or maybe there could have been alternatives, even if they decided that they were not going to go ahead with the e-levy.
Yeah.
And they decided that they were rather going to increase the service charges that they put on the service providers, the mobile money companies. They invariably wouldn't come across to the bulk of the citizens that there is something called e-levy, because they already pay service charges for the services provided by the mobile money company.
Yeah.
So you can increase the service charges and in a way still get the money you want to get. So there are ways to still implement what they intended to implement. Just increase the service charges. Just like we're talking about the energy companies in the UK.
Yeah.
The government decided to put a windfall tax on the energy companies and take that money and put it back into either the economy or give it to the citizens to reduce their energy bills. Similar, you put out the service charge on the mobile companies, and that service charge goes back into the economy, goes to the government. And if that service charge has been put indirectly, people would have been paying for an e-levy without even
knowing. Yeah.
But if you come up front and people think you are coming for their money, there is always resistance. But when you go on these companies, it's indirect. They don't see it that their money you are coming for.
Yeah.
So service charge is put up on Vodafone. Vodafone automatically increases the service charge a little bit.
Yeah.
On the man who is doing the transaction. The man doing the transaction wouldn't see it. But for some reason, they decided we're going to go out with the e-levy. When in other countries, they should have seen the Uganda example, when there was huge resistance to e-levy. So that should have told them people don't like that.
Well,
so there should be a third way out. And they should put their heads together and come up with another strategy.
Well, as whether they're going to do that or not is another story. But, well, we hope that they listen in and know that people are not in favor of that, and therefore they have to look at the plan B. But listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's 4 minutes to 1, so that means that we're going to be running up pretty soon. But like I announced earlier on this afternoon, exactly at 1:30, BB Clement will be bringing you Sam Henshaw as her guest. Yes, she is. He is. My apologies. Under 30, musician, producer, name it, and he's overachieving. You want to know his secret? Yeah, make sure that you join BB Clement exactly at 1:30 when the program comes your way. But let me go back to Kojo, all the way in South London, who is still on. And then let's. What have been your talk? The top of your story, so that we can. The top story of yours before we run up the program. Over to you.
Which one do we pick? I'm afraid I'm going to go back to Guinea-Bissau.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
They've been in the news yesterday. They were in the news yesterday, I think so. They were in the news. There was something about heavy gunfire in in the Guinea-Bissau capital. After a week of an attempted coup.
Yeah.
And there was another heavy gunfire to capture a radio station and radio equipment. So what is going on there?
Might be opposition. Oh God.
We don't know, because a week ago 11 people were killed. Isn't it? Yeah, when the president was being taken out of office. So has the ECOWAS soldiers arrived yet?
We don't know. We're not sure. By the time they get ready to go on.
So that's what we're going to. And the president is announcing an inquiry into attempted coup. This is the first time I've heard that. because he said it's not an attempted coup, it's armed robbery, or the pandemic,
drug lords who are trying to.
I wanted to use the word pandemonium, and they being held hostage was by drug dealers. So if you need this already, well, what is an inquiry necessary?
Well, he wants to copy the UK. We do inquiry for everything. So
less than a week after that incident, gunmen tried to capture a radio station. Why would gunmen try to capture a radio station? Again, is it another
attempted coup?
Attempted coup? Because we all know in Africa, when gunmen or soldiers capture a radio station, what do?
That's when they announce that the country, the government is over, has been taken over, blah blah blah.
So unfortunately, we've not heard from ECHO whether the soldiers are in Guinea-Bissau at the moment. So ECHO Secretariat in London, can you tell us, please? So I think I'll end on that note.
Thank you, Kojo. That's been an interesting, in-depth analysis of some of the stories that we looked at this morning. And tomorrow, God willing, we'll be coming your way once again with another edition of the morning show. But Kojo, before we go.
Yeah, I will just say to all the listeners, but you continue listening to us. I mean, it is a very educative station. We cover the length and breadth of Africa, the UK, and we go across to the world. There's no place like, Starr Radio. We are the best when you come to Afro-Caribbean, all things Afro-Caribbean. So if you want to hear reggae, this is the station you need to be. If you want to hear Afrobeats, pioneered by Nigerian and Ghanaian musicians in Africa. If you want to hear the Whiskies, this is where you have to be. If you want to listen to Shampoo, this is where you want to be. And if you want to hear the best in news and discussions,
this is where you have to be. Of course.
Surely. And a very good afternoon to everyone.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of the day and enjoy the rest of the week as well.
Okay, Kojo, we'll talk later. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right then. Thank you very much. Well, listeners, that was Kojo D as well, bringing you his take on issues that have been discussed. But thank you very much for tuning in to listen to us today. God willing, tomorrow will be coming your way with another edition of the morning show. But as I've announced this afternoon, exactly at 1:30, all roads leads to BB Means Business with BB Clement, who will be hosting the one and only Sam Henshaw. He is a music producer, a musician, name it. He's under 30 and he's overachieving. Why wouldn't you want to be overachieving at that age as well? Well, you want to know it's not too late. You have life and therefore there is hope, and therefore listen to that program and he will educate you as to how he did it or how he has done it, and you can also take a leaf from his book. All right then, so on that note, I said thank you very, very much. Enjoy this song from Papa Young Sings. He says, Tinamiche, stay with me. And when that song ends, you don't hear from me. It's me, Archie, Mr. Frank David, Mr. Olayomi, Kojo D, saying, have a blessed day. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening.
Turn it up.
Inkomo nyinara nyide Obianyi wonyi wuse Snami chen Mami mpogo nkomo bi Inkomo nyinara nyide Wasam yemasa
Semitsunza mihunza miyemumpo Metadingo suwemumwa Wanywe chichi mami mije Baby tina michen Mami mbo nkomubi Menkomo nyinara nyide Mewa pieza mauda Womodo ashemima
Misi meriazi nyina mawo
Umwenije ashemima
Deminsi, don't you break my heart Mami chen, mami